JB here, 2:52, July 12th, 2024. We have about an hour, 8 minutes to the close. Apologize for the audio. I have to get the volume off, but at least I hit the button in the room, so I'm on audio as opposed to talking for 15 minutes and no one being able to hear me. But I'll just talk about the market, some names, watching some I added today, and go from there. But take a look at the S&P. See if I posted. I should have posted charts in the chat room, but reversing the gains, the losses from yesterday. S&P's up over 1%. I was mentioning on the rant this morning. It was comical. All the bearish crash headlines coming out because of that divergence. Everybody was, talking about, oh, here's the sign that we're going to have the pending. This is the top. The crash is coming, thing like that. And then all of a sudden, all the stocks, the Magnificent Seven, which lost over 500 billion in market cap yesterday, they're all green today. So, um, I think a little bit yesterday was catching some of the market off guard when yields dropped, people repositioning, laggards catching up, folks maybe they're not as positioned in small cap names, some are short. So I think it was a whole basket of these things for uh, for the market. And so it looks like I, I was I didn't think it would get resolved in one day. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe we'll have some more follow through next week. But the fact that the market's holding up here, I think bodes well. And then take a look at the VIX. It was down 6% at about 115. The VIX hit 1211. Yesterday, at the height of the S&P's sell-off and the Nasdaq sell-off, the VIX was only up 3% and then closed flat. So telltale signals, telltale signs. I'll continue to watch the VIX for direction. But we have earnings season next week. The banks, Wells Fargo and JP Morgan, to the downside. Wells Fargo is getting smoked. I think it's down 6% on interest income. And then Citi is up. So that's kind of the start of earnings season. Next week, there's 115 companies reporting, including Bank of America, United Healthcare, Morgan Stanley, JB Hunt, Johnson& Johnson, United Airlines, Alcoa, which used to be the official kickoff of earnings season was when Alcoa reported, but then Alcoa went from being that to being nothing, and then actually coming back from the grave. But uh, store rants for another day. We also have Domino's Pizza. That'll be interesting, especially with the recent pullback in some of these casual dining names. Abbott, ABT. I'll talk about that at the end, but that one's interesting. And then Thursday after the close will be Netflix, and Netflix will be like the official tech season kickoff. Also Intuitive Surgical, and then Friday's American Express. So the fun begins. I love earnings season. So that's that. If the market closed right now, the small caps will be up 6% for the week. The SP would be up 1.4%. The Nasdaq would be up 0.5%. So just impressive outperformance by small caps, almost 5% outperformance. And I would be surprised if it didn't continue in the coming weeks, which again I've been saying for a while. Well, I think will provide the next leg for market. So I mean, maybe there will be S&P weakness a little bit, and even despite the weakness, small caps will rally. That's a possibility, but my hope is that there's just a churn for the S&P and Nasdaq, and then we can start getting higher, more highs on the market. So that's kind of that. Uh, let's see here. So if you take a look at the IWM, just a huge gap. I mean, just so now you have two big caps to the upside. I don't know if those will fill anytime soon, but just monster week for the small caps. Finally breaking out. Seemed like it was every other day the small caps would be up, then it'd be down, then they'd be up, then be down. Then finally we had that breakthrough. So good stuff. So individual names, and first, just really quick about Baidu. It's first red candle down here trading under $100. That's why, I'm not saying hindsight's 2020 or trying to say, well, it's always got to lock those profits in. I mean, that's obvious. It could have, oh, there goes you. It could have just as easily, broke over 105 and then into the 107s where the 200-day moving average is. But that was not meant to be for today. Some consolidation hopefully it holds the 50, 98.67, and then next week's another week. So I think, continue like that for upside. If it shows more strength, I'll add more calls. Locked most of my stuff in already. Just have the August 110s, which I'd already locked a lot of those in for some nice profits, and the Julys. All right, so that's Baidu. Square really quick, and I posted this. There's always that old adage or saying, the bigger the base, the bigger the breakout, or the longer the base, the bigger the breakout. However you want to put it. I mean, the premise is long periods of consolidation typically I always say this, it's a tug of war. And then once one side tires out, whether it be a lack of sellers or a lack of buyers, then there's a nice breakout. And typically it's long, it's a long breakout. So the hope here would be that this is Square's long-term breakout. It's up here at 69. I would love to see it close over 70, but I'll take a 4% to the upside after it's 3% to the upside yesterday. Yeah, the longer the base, the higher in space. Yep, that's it. So uh, it stops here 72.50. I have the 72.50 calls. So I think that probably gets hit next week at least. And then I was looking for some August strikes, but the risk reward looks a little tough here. I already averaged on those 72.50, so I'll wait for those to hit some pay dirt first before I start adding some more strikes. I'll probably look to encompass earnings. So yeah, I'm in the green here on those 72.50s, but not too much. So that's Square. Another story here that I think you look as having similar consolidation is the Unity, right? I call it the U, in tribute to Miami University. But uh, look great at the open here, and then there's a report from Apple this morning around their Vision Pro got looking for some apps to really drive that when you have a piece of hardware like that, and there's not apps that really exploit its potential and all that fun stuff. Uh, the hardware, it's hard to make a case to own that product, right? So you have to think and I'm surprised it continues to I mean, it's up 4% right now, just broke back over 17. Hopefully there's some fuel at the into the end of the day, and then onward and upward. I was actually looking into August 16 calls and the 25s. I almost pulled the trigger. I might get some before the end of the day because I think maybe there's some hype over the weekend. And oh, they're actually, yeah, 25 by 7, 27. I might look to get those before the end of the day. But really like to set up on you. And similar to what happened with Square, it's frustrating, right? Square kept churning, 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 and then finally breaks out to the upside. I'm hoping for a little deja vu here with Unity. So I'll add some strikes in the next week, and I might look for some August calls as well. Celsius, still waiting for it to break over 60 bucks, up another 2% today. Once that 60 handle breaks, I might look to get some August calls. UBS, and I missed this because it came up after the open. They actually cut their price target on Celsius to 70 from 92, but they maintained their buy rating. So some resetting of expectations, but I still think once it gets some momentum, it's going to take off. Uh, Someone mentioned, I'm not sure if you're on audio, uh, about the so Beyond, right? So Bed Bath and Beyond, the old Overstock.com, a name that you would think it has multiple stories. It's been a short squeeze name as well, and it's just gotten pummeled. And now you have new leadership. Um, I mean, they have a lot of scale and they have a lot of opportunity. And supposedly, there's rumors out that GameStop might use some of their cash hoard to acquire them. And you start looking at the math, and I don't have it at my fingertips, all the fundamentals of Beyond, because I don't know how much debt. Like when you're making these acquisitions, there's a lot of other things that go with it than just GameStop coming out and saying, "There, we're going to acquire Beyond." But if GameStop is looking to kind of get outside that core business and use their scale to really ramp and grow, I mean, it almost makes sense. I'm just looking right now. Beyond has a $1.6 billion. They sell 1.56 billion in revenues. And it's a $654 million market cap. So that's an opportunity. Interesting name. I've traded Overstock a lot over the years. I don't know if I'll test it here, but I can see you can look at that and make a case that, hey, maybe there might be some synergies there. That's that. Square. Well, AI is still just churning around, not much to look at here. So it's just killing premiums. So I'll kind of pass. I still have some strikes on C3 AI. So I mean, it's going to need a big move next week, but I'll be patient on that one. Oh, turns. Do I have my chart for turns? I don't even know if I have my chart up. But so turns all the way. It's back over $9. Hit another 52-week high before. I think. Oh no, it's not 52-week. It's a yearly high. So the high for the year. Tested 934. Just more narratives. I think Altimmune had a positive analyst note out around this Pfizer deal, and I posted, it's like, if Pfizer wants to, they took their shelved GLP-1 oral drug that they shelved back at the end of last year, and now all of a sudden they're coming back out with it, and they're going to do another study, and it's with less dosage. I mean, it it's kind of shows a little bit of desperation on Pfizer's part, but it also shows that their desperation just implies that the addressable market is huge and that it's imperative for them to have their hands in that space. So it's like, why would someone not acquire TERN or whatever? But it's looking great here. Um, I still have some July 10s. I added those August 10s as well. So I'll continue to hold those. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm trying to think. Oh, so Abbott's the last one. Abbott has a similar setup here. And I'll see if I can put a chart up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Yeah, I should be able to, right? Uh, I love Abbott. Abbott seems like so they had the issues with the baby formula, right? And their factories and all these these suits and things like that. I don't know if it was the FTC or, but you look, it's $120 stock back in at the end of March. Then it had earnings. It dipped down and it's been kind of melting ever since, but it's right at the 50-day moving average. They report next week, and it's had some nice earnings moves. So don't be surprised if I get some spec calls next week on Abbott for earnings. I'm not going to trade Netflix. I mean, Netflix has been on a huge tear, and you know, is the risk reward? I, I don't know if the risk reward is there. Its last earnings were a little disappointing, but it was actually there were strong earnings, but they just said, hey, we're not going to report subscriber ads anymore. So people construe that as, I guess, a net negative. But the same thing happened with Apple. Apple used to report all the individual units, and Apple one day said, "Oh, we're not going to report the individual units anymore," and people, misconstrued that as a net negative. Meanwhile, Amazon has been the best with this. Amazon decided they're never going to give details on their Kindles, their all their devices, the Alexas. Uh, but they do only in certain instances when they have Amazon Prime Day and they want to tout their sales or what have you. Then they'll come out and say, "Oh, we sold these many devices during the weekend." But that's the way to do it, right? You pick and choose your points as long as you're transparent if you're a publicly traded company. But that's about it, folks. We have about 56 minutes to the close. Another nice week. Hopefully, Chewy one of these days gets life back in its sales. VKTX is stumbling a little bit today. Oh, and Wingstop. So maybe Wing breaks under 380 next week, goes to 370 or three. I was thinking 365, but on the flip side, you could see it seems like it found a floor at 380, and every time it breaks under for a little bit, it finds a bounce. It tested 390 again today before fading, so I took that as a sign to close the rest of my puts, and I could revisit the Julys next week, or I might look for some August if that whole sector as a whole remains under pressure. And you have Domino's Pizza next week, so you know, that could be one of those signals that says, hey, it's time for the, you know, the dip to be bought. That's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. Rock and roll.